Hola amigos, bienvenidos. Hi friends, welcome to episode 20. On episode 20 of the YouTube channel, we talked about ER and IR verbs. And so that's what we're going to talk about on this episode. We're going to practice a little bit together. You know, to kick things off, I want to take a minute to just review the concept of ER verb endings really quick, and this just a brief review. I know you've probably been studying these, but you remember our AR verb endings were o, as, a, amos, ais, an. And for ER endings, we just simply change the A's to E's. It's that simple. O, es, e, emos, ais, en. There we go. Now that we've reviewed the endings of ER verb, let's go over some AR verbs that we talked about on the episode. Now, I'm just going to do like I've been doing the last few episodes. And first of all, just call out some of these ER verbs in English, give you a second to think about what they are in Spanish. Then I'll tell you what it is in Spanish, and just kind of make sure you have the verbs themselves down, okay? So first up, how do you say to eat? That is comer. How do you say to learn? And that is aprender, aprender. And next up is to sell. That is vender, vender. And next is to read. And that is leer, leer. Next is to think or to believe. And that is creer, creer. And remember, with leer and creer, the last two, they both have double E's in the middle. So when we conjugate them, we really only take off the ER at the end, and that leaves an E in the word. So sometimes your conjugation will have two E's in it, like the he, she form. So she reads as ella lee. So you'd have both of those E's there. All right, up next is to understand or comprehend. And that is comprender. Up next is to break, to break. That is romper, romper. And now to cough. That is toser, toser. Now we have to run. And to run is correr. Up next is to have to or must. And that is deber. And that can also mean should, as if you said, I should do something. You can use deber for that as well. Up next is to promise. And that is prometer, prometer. And up next is to surprise. And that is sorprender, sorprender. And the last one we did was to respond. And that's responder, responder. And now that we've gone over all those verbs, let's take a minute to put those into context. I'm going to call out a series of phrases in English, and I just want you to put those in Spanish using and conjugating ER verbs. Up first is she learns, she learns. And that should be ella aprende, ella aprende. The next one is we eat. And that is nosotros comemos, nosotros comemos. And now they sell, they sell. Use either form of they that you want. And that is ellos venden, ellos venden. Now he reads, he reads. And that is él lee, lee. We have to leave one E on there. have that other E as the ending. So lee. And up next is I believe. I believe. And that is yo creo. Yo creo. Let's do one more. They run. And that is ellos or ellas corren. Corren. All right, my friends, and that wraps up our first practice of the episode. And now let's take a few minutes to go over the endings for IR verbs. Now remember, IR endings are the same as ER endings in the boot. The only endings that we change are the nosotros and the vosotros forms. The nosotros form becomes imos, I-M-O-S, and the vosotros form becomes is, I-S, with an accent on the I. Now let's take a minute just to first go over some IR verbs themselves, just to make sure we have the verbs themselves down. Okay, so first up, how do you say to write? And that is escribir, escribir. And now, how do you say to receive? And that is recibir. And now, how do you say to open? And that is abrir. Next up is to occur. And that is ocurrir. And now to live. And that is vivir, vivir. And up next is to exist. And that is existir, existir. And now how do you say to permit? Permitir, permitir. And finally, how do you say to decide? And that is decidir, decidir. All right, now let's practice those IR verbs in context. As I did with ER, I'm going to call out a series of phrases for you in English, and I just want you to say them in Spanish. The first one is we write. And that is nosotros escribimos. Nosotros escribimos. The next one is they receive. And that should be ellos reciben, or you could have said ellas reciben. Next one is I open. And that should be yo abro. Yo abro. The next one I want you to say is it occurs. It occurs. Okay, now if you're a little confused right now, just a quick reminder. Which form of the verb do we use when we're talking about an object doing something, an it does something? It's the same as the he or she form. So we're going to go down to that form, ocurre, ocurre. So that's the form we use when we're talking about an it doing something, is the él, ella, and usted form. All right? Next one is she lives. And that is ella vive. Next is they permit. And that is ellos permiten or ellas permiten. The last one is he decides. He decides. And that is él decide. Él decide. All right, and that wraps up our second practice of the episode. Now, let's just do a quick reminder of the personal ah, which we did at the end of this episode on YouTube. Remember, the personal ah is the letter A, and we have to put that after the verb when the verb is done to a person. So just a quick reminder of that. I hope you've been using this in conversation or remembering it. But one of the examples we used on the YouTube lesson was, I am going to help Maria. So help is ayudar. Now remember, I am going to help. I'm going to do something. What formula is that? I hope you're saying ir plus a plus infinitive. It's ir plus a plus infinitive. I hope that's just really in the front of your mind now every time you say you're going to do something. So I'm going to help is voy a ayudar, but I'm going to help Maria, and she's a person, so I got to put the word a after it. So voy a ayudar a Maria. All right, and then we use the example of I see Maria. And remember, the yo form of ver, to see, is weird because we leave an e on there, and it's veil. It's not vo, it's veil. Okay, so how would we say I see Maria? Yo veo a Maria. Now, how would you say she sees Juan? She sees Juan. And that would be ella ve a Juan. Ella ve a Juan. Now let's do one more. We see Marco. We see Marco. Nosotros vemos a Marco. Nosotros vemos a Marco. All right, amigos, we have practiced a lot on this episode. I hope you're having a great day, morning, afternoon, night, wherever you are. I wish for you paz y bendiciones, for you and your family, peace and blessings. And I just hope you have a great one wherever you are. I'll see you next time on the Language Tutor Spanish. Hasta pronto.